This is lesson 12, populations versus samples. In class, we're going to be asking what is the purpose of statistics, basically to collect data. Organize data. And to interpret data. Okay. In this lesson, you will learn about collecting data from a sample that is selected from a population. You will also learn about summary values for both a population and a sample, and think about what can be learned about the population by looking at a sample from that population. So the first thing we're going to talk about is collecting data, okay? Describe what you would do if you had to collect data to investigate the following statistical questions using either a sample statistic or a population characteristic, and explain your reasoning in each case, okay? In other words, a population characteristic is the whole population. A sample statistic is part of that population. So how might you collect data to answer the question, does the soup taste good? Just a normal question. What would you do? Taste the soup. Okay. That would be a common answer, okay? How might you collect data to answer the question, how many movies do students in your class see in a month? Ask the students. They're just common sense questions, ladies and gentlemen. And last, how might you collect data to answer the question, what is the median price range of a home in your town? In other words, the average price range in the home in your town. There's a few different answers here. You could look online. Okay, you can look online. You can look in the newspaper. You could ask a realtor. Okay, those are three things that you could do. Okay. Next. Okay. Next, it says, how might you collect data to answer the question, how many pets do people own in my neighborhood? You could go door to door. To ask the neighbors. How might you collect data to answer the question, what is the typical number of absences in math classes at your school on a given day? Ask each math teacher. Okay. How might you collect data to answer the question, what is the typical lifespan of a particular brand of flashlight battery? Well, you can put batteries in the flashlight. And test it. Okay. Another one would be, how might you collect data to answer the question, what percentage of girls and boys in your school have a curfew? Ask students. In the school. If they have a curfew. Okay. How might you collect data to answer the question, what is the most common blood type of students in my class? Okay. Ask the students in your class. Okay. Now let's talk about a couple of definitions, okay, that you need to know. Okay. So first of all, a population. Okay, so I would underline a population or highlight, okay, is the entire set of objects, people, animal, plants, from which the data might be collected. Okay. A sample is a subset of that population. Okay. Numerical summary values calculated from an entire population are called population characteristics, and the numerical summary values calculated from using data from a sample are called sample statistics. Okay, we're going to work with them a little bit today. Okay. All right, next. It says, oh, sorry. For which of the scenarios in exercise 1, the one that we just completed, okay, did you describe collecting data from a population and which from a sample? Okay, so from a population, okay, so from a population, okay, that would be A, C, F, and G. From a sample, that would be D, B, E, and H. Okay, so now think about collecting data in the scenario above. List and give 2 reasons you might want to collect data from a sample rather than an entire population. Okay, well, one is the whole population. If you use the whole population, you might use it all up like the soup. Okay. You might run out of soup. Okay, that's one. Okay. Um, the batteries. Okay, the batteries. Okay, to try and test all the batteries, there's too many of them to try and test. Okay. In some cases, okay, a sample can give you all the information you need. Okay. Next, number 4. Identify whether the result would be based on a population characteristic or a sample statistic. Okay. So does the soup taste good? Okay. That is a sample. It's based on the sample statistic. And we just talked about that up here. How many movies do students in your class see in a month? Okay. The mean was based on a population. Okay. Population of students. Okay. So this is a population characteristic. What is the median price of a home in our town? Okay. Depending on the method, could be either one. How many pets do people own in my neighborhood? Oh, I'm sorry. I read the wrong question. Sorry. Your town is a sample statistic. Your neighborhood is depending on what you go with. Okay, what is the typical number of absences in math classes at your school on a given day? Okay, because it's specifically just math classes, okay, that's a population, okay, that's your only population. The typical lifespan of a particular brand of battery, okay, one particular brand out of a lot of them, sample space. Or sample statistics, sorry. Still thinking probability. What percentage of girls and boys in your school have a curfew? Population. What is the most common blood type of students in my class? That's a sample statistic. Okay. Next, to determine whether it's a population or a sample, okay, says indicate whether the following statements are summarizing data collected to answer a statistical question from a population or from a sample. Identify references in the statement as population characteristics or sample statistics. Okay. So A says 54% of the responders to a poll at a university indicated that wealth needed to be distributed more evenly among people. Okay. It's a population. Because it's all the students attending the university. The sample is the poll responders. And the sample statistics is 54%. Okay. Next, it says our students in the Bayshore School District, students at the Bayshore School District, proficient on the state assessments in mathematics. In 2013, after all the tests were taken by the students in the Bayshore schools were evaluated, over 52% of those students were at or above proficient on the state assessments. Well, that's a population. Okay, and that's all the students in the district. Okay. The population characteristic is the 52%. Okay. And then C, we have, does talking on mobile phones while driving distract people? Researchers measured the reaction times of 38 student participants as they talked on mobile phones and found the average level of distractions from their driving was 2.25 out of 5. The population, all drivers. The sample, the student participants. The sample statistic is the 2.25 out of 5. Next, did most people living in New York in 2010 have at least a high school diploma? Most people living in New York, based on the data collected from all New York residents in 2010 census, 84.6% of the people living in New York had at least a high school education. Population, people living in New York, in 2010. Population characteristic, (84.6). C, were there more deaths than births in the United States between July 2011 and July 2012? Data from a health service agency indicated there were 2% more deaths than births in the United States during that time frame. Okay. Population. People in the U.S. Okay. Sample statistic, or the sample. Okay. From the health service agency. And here from July 2011 to July 2012. Sample statistic. %2. Okay. What is the 5th best-selling book in the United States? Based on the sales of books in the United States, the 5th best-selling books was Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. Okay. Population. List of all best-selling books. In the US. Population characteristic. The fifth best-selling book.